Hey, everyone, this is Andy Hall. You're watching the Disappointed Cat Morning Show. Is that what we're calling it? That's what we're calling it. We've got a whole bunch of stories we're covering today. What do we got? We're talking about New Jersey gym. Not New Jersey gym, but a gym in New Jersey. Cops acting badly. Who would think that would happen? Marijuana. Crusaders, what's wrong with that name anyway? And witches in Michigan. It's going to be another crazy show because we live in a crazy world. Let's do something funny. You want to do something funny? I want to do something funny.
You may have heard of Ender's Game by Scott Carcama Horson, but he also wrote a series that's just Narnia for Mormons, about a magical frontier boy who's named Alvin in the story. But he is pretty clearly a Joseph Smith allegory. See, Alvin is a magic-wise, upstanding, sober guy who's accused of sexual impropriety, but of course that's all a lie. He gathers loyal followers who trust him implicitly, with the ultimate goal to build a utopian crystal city. The first 5 books are pretty good with a couple biased stanzas. The last one is basically LDS propaganda, which begs me the question, forgive my ignorance a bit. Do other faiths have religious texts disguised as YA lit?
I learned something from that song. I learned something about Ender's Game and Mormon propaganda. I hope you guys did too. Hope everyone's doing well. Derek Cruz, what's up? Theo, glad to see that you're here. Of course, Brain Bug, always a pleasure. Dr. Mordecai, is the cat happy? You know, as happy as the cat is normally. Hey, Simply Secular Dave. We are doing the post after show. No, it's the after show, after party. I don't know. We're doing a thing. If you want to show up and have a conversation after the show is over, the link is actually in the description. And I also placed the link up there in the chat too, in case you want to pop in and have a conversation on camera, right? We can do that. So what do we do? Oh, the weekend. So I've had a productive weekend. I hope everyone had a happy weekend. So that's my question. You know, how was everyone's weekend? I hope you had a pleasant few days off if you're working, and if not, then I hope, you know, nothing horrible happened to you. What did I do? I was able to survive another game of Scrabble with my girlfriend, and I feel like that's a plus. That's a plus because, you know, if you've played Scrabble or if you played any game with people who have different levels of experience, you know that it can be very one-sided at times. And it isn't that I'm smarter than my girlfriend. Not at all. It's just that I just know a bunch of cheap tricks about the 2-letter words. There are a bunch of 2-letter words. And once you figure out that you can use the scale do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do as words in Scrabble, or that you can actually spell out letter names in Scrabble, like F. You spell F with just EF, and that's a legitimate Scrabble word. You know, if the other person doesn't know those tricks, you have a strategic advantage, my friends. That's what you have. So, you know, survived a game of Scrabble with her, and a game of Monopoly too, which I happened to win too. I would think everyone, and tell me what I'm doing wrong. I would think I'd be a lot more successful in life in general if I could only take my skill at board games and somehow make it useful in some kind of economic way of getting money. I don't know. So, oh, you work on the weekends, huh, Jesse Beer? I used to work on the weekends too. In fact, I remember I would have Mondays and Tuesdays off in one of my jobs, just like, oh, Mondays and Tuesdays. What an interesting 2 days to have off. Yeah, so what else did I do over the weekend? I did Atheist Drinking Out Loud on Saturday. And we did the Late Show last night with author and comedian Nathan Timmel, which I think went pretty well. We Are 100 is the book that we talked about. And for his first fiction book, I think it's a very strong book. I was very entertained, and it was a page turner. Oh, you see, that's the thing, Glenn Chesterton. Yeah, they're just some basic tricks in Cheap Trick, great band indeed. They're just some tricks with Scrabble that would help level up your game. Once again, knowing the Q words that don't need the U, that's important. There are, and like I said, the 2-letter words. So if I was going to recommend an easy way to level up your Scrabble game, learn the 2-letter words and learn the words that you can form with a Q without the U. Oh, you went fossil hunting over the weekend. The devil sticks. You went looking for those, huh? Hope you found some fossils. Good morning, Jess M. Glad to see that you're here. Oh, the restaurant industry. Yeah, when I was talking about that job I had, when I had Mondays and Tuesdays off, then yeah, that was when I was working in the restaurant. Yes. Long live video games. Yeah. Oh, I could see how that would be a problem, Jesse Beer. I could see how that would be a problem. So let's do memes. We should do memes before we actually start talking about the news stories from the weekend. All right. So what? Some alien extraterrestrial heavy memes this morning. Let's take a look. Why does the working class, the larger of the two classes, not simply eat the rich? She's given him the side eye. But that's a very good question. Especially when you have this supposed system that the lower classes can actually vote at this. Really? They can vote and they still don't eat the rich. It's a very interesting question. All right, let's check out the next extraterrestrial related funny. If this doesn't explain life, of course, you don't always get hit by you don't get hit by extraterrestrials, but many times in my own life, I never knew what hit me either. It wasn't after a long session of therapy or some reflection that's like, oh, that's what happened to me. A lot of times you don't know what happened to you. You can get blindsided by life a lot. Because of oppression. Good answer, Theo. Good answer, Theo. Hey, we have fossil picks coming in pretty soon. That's pretty cool. How am I doing today? I'm doing pretty well, actually. I've been perfecting being able to get a good night's sleep after doing the late show. So I have a system, and it's been working well for me for the last few weekends. So I am actually awake and aware this morning without having a crap night's sleep. All right, so what's the last bit of funny? What's the last bit of comedy here we're going to do? The crushing despair of everything from the last year. But look, you're still doing your best. Oh, if this is, if this is a symbol, a poster for my YouTube channel, this could be it right there. I'm still doing my best, though, here on YouTube. I'm still trying. All right. Check out the... yes, actually, we are officially... Well, there's no real updates. We are officially on the list. There's a long list, since apparently everyone's looking for an animal. And Angel Memorial Shelter here in the Boston area, it's a very large shelter. I've actually have been there a number of times because one of the participants, one of the people who has a brain injury, used to volunteer over there, who I worked with. And so I would bring him over there. He would, interact with the cats and with the dogs and everything. And so I know it's a large place. I know it's an insanely popular place too. So unfortunately, we are on the list. And, I have no idea when we're going to be moved up on the list and when we can actually show up. And the thing is, by the time we get an appointment, the cat may be gone. So that means, Yeah. Well, here it is, Theo. The problem of the rich is always to keep a police in jurisdiction to ensure their property rights are enforced while other people are starving. Yep. There's no doubt that if one side if the authority has the authority, this was the profound thing I was about to say. If the authority has the authority, it's difficult for the powerless to do something about it. All right. What's the first story we're doing this morning? Oh, this guy. I'm just going to flash a picture. Take a look on the guy on the right. You'll recognize Tucker Carlson. So this guy here. This guy has gone for the Rasputin look. And you might find it crazy that someone who has gone really hip deep into the Rasputin look would end up on Fox News, and is a bit crazy, right? Who would have thought that someone with that look would? All right, let's check out all the descriptions. All right, all the links are in the descriptions. Let's check out the story. New Jersey gym celebrated by Fox News is offering free memberships to people who refuse to take a COVID-19 vaccine. That's right. You get a free membership if you don't get a vaccine shot. Now, before we even get into the story, how do you prove that? How do you prove you haven't gotten a vaccine shot? I could easily just get vaccinated and walk into this gym and say, well, I want a free membership because I haven't got vaccinated. In fact, anyone who lives near this knucklehead with his gym, if you do get the vaccine, just walk in there and say you haven't gotten the vaccine so you can load this guy up full of free memberships. I think that is subversion right there. All right. Gym owners still battling New Jersey Governor Murphy. These are the bullet points, of course, because they're bullets and they're points. A New Jersey gym is offering free memberships to people who refuse to take the COVID-19 vaccine. The gym's owners received positive coverage on Fox News last year. Of course they did. Before and after they were arrested for violating the state's shutdown order. One of the gym's owners spread a conspiracy theory on Fox in August and was not challenged or corrected by the show host. Of course, because we all know, at least on the Tucker Carlson show, nothing should be taken seriously. Just like Sidney Powell, the lawyer for former President Trump, Citizen Trump, don't take anything these people say seriously. They're just entertainment. And look at him. What I really appreciate about the gentleman on the right is that he's really gone for the bushy beard as well as the bushy eyebrows. He's gone really into that look. New Jersey gym, the owners, which were arrested last year for refusing to abide the state's pandemic-related orders, is now offering free memberships to individuals who refuse to take the COVID-19 vaccine. The owners of Attilis Gym in Belmore, that sounds like a Welsh word, were arrested and fined last summer after keeping their indoor gym open for months in violation of the governor's shutdown order. They have appeared on Fox almost 20 times since the pandemic began, a liberal watchdog group Media Matters reported. Attilis co-owner Ian Smith announced earlier this week that his gym would incentivize people to reject vaccines after the donut chain Krispy Kreme announced it's offering free donuts to customers who receive COVID-19 vaccine. Tell me who's going to win. Who's going to win this fight? Your local Krispy Kreme store that gives you one free donut a day for a year, or this dude offering free memberships? I have to tell you, who's going to win more hearts and minds? It's going to be Krispy Kreme. Fox News closely covered the gym's efforts to defy state laws and several of, I feel like I should be humming God Bless America as I'm reading this. All right, so Fox News closely covered the gym's efforts to defy state laws and several of the network's hosts. He praised on Smith and co-owner Frank Trumbetti when Smith called New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy a tyrant who runs off of fear. Fox host Tucker Carlson called it the most moving thing I have heard in a long time and called Smith a brave man. During an August interview on Fox and Friends, Trombetti promoted a baseless conspiracy theory that government officials wanted to shut down gyms and health clubs so Americans would become less healthy and be more vulnerable to the virus. Well, there you go. That's the conspiracy. You know, and once again, I know we've talked about this a gaggle of times on the show, but I'll say it again. It's the knee-jerk reaction of these MAGA people, of the right, so that whenever things don't go their way, there has to be a conspiracy because their own stupid actions couldn't have gotten them into trouble. We'll see what the chat's going. What's going on with chat? Never go full Rasputin. Digital bookworm, man. Never go full Rasputin. And I have to tell you something right now, is that on the podcast I'm really, really vibing to right now. It's called Revolutions. I've talked about it before. Covering the Russian Revolution. We're like 40 episodes in, more than 40 episodes in, and we're just getting to Rasputin, introducing Rasputin. And that episode drops today. I'm super psyched for that. Oh, yes, Theo. That is correct. That is correct. They went the route just like Tucker Carlson's people, just like Alex Jones' people. No one should take what they say seriously. Well, Glenn, yes, indeed. Yep. You're a good judge of character, apparently. Oh, the donut emoji. Now I want donuts. There's a really good donut place down the street, too. Like, super awesome. Oh, no! Bad news! Bad news. We just figured, the girlfriend just found out Lump, the cat that we were hoping to adopt, was adopted by somebody else. We knew he would be adopted quickly because he's such an awesome cat. Damn it. So I imagine we still are in line to get an appointment. I guess that's the trick, right? Just getting an appointment and hoping that there's a cat that we want when we get there. And if not, then we make another appointment, I guess, and just hope that there's going to be a cat by the time we get an appointment then too. Wow, bad news. Bad news on the Lump front for us. But hopefully Lump, the cat, has a good home. All right, let's see what else is going on. The Fox News defense is right, brain bug. No one should take it's all entertainment. It's all entertainment. No one should take us seriously. Except that when we're telling our base what to do, because then the base can take us seriously. All right. What's the next story we're talking about? Oh, cops acting poorly. I know this is going to be surprising that there are a few police officers who might have gone a little bit beyond the call of reason. But even I was shocked with this story. I'm just going to read the title. U.S. police body cam video shows officers berating a child aged 5. Yes, you heard that right. Police body cam video shows officers berating. I think that's a nice word, berating, because to say shouting, telling the kid's mom, the 5-year-old kid's mom, that they should beat the kid. I don't know how you put that into a title of a post, but berating, I think it's a little tame. Verbally assaulting a child of 5. Yeah, I think that would be okay. I think I would write the story as police verbally attack a 5-year-old child. Let's just get into the story. Body camera footage shows a U.S. police officers handcuffing and screaming at a 5-year-old boy who walked away from his school. The video released on Friday by police in Maryland shows the 2 officers telling the boy's mother that she should beat him. The incident from January 2020 is the subject of a lawsuit filed by the child's mother. Her lawyers allege that the child suffered emotional trauma. The officers from Montgomery County Police Department had found the child a few streets away from the school, and the body camera video shows him crying in the back of the police car as he is driven back. The officers follow a member of staff and the boy into the school. A female officer is heard to say, "That's why people need to beat their kids. So many questions, so many comments, so many thoughts. And then you have to wonder, do you beat your children, police officer? Because that might mean that you should be investigated. Maybe we should have child services called on you. And so obviously with that kind of thinking, this officer was probably beaten as a child. Inside it gets worse. It just gets worse. It just gets worse. Inside the assistant's head teacher's office, the child begins to cry loudly. Yeah, they're 5. And the video shows one of the officers screaming directly into the boy's face. Shut that noise up. Now the officer says, I hope your mama let me beat you. Later, the child's mother arrives at the school, and the video shows both officers encouraging her to hit her son. We want you to beat him, one officer tells her. The mother responds that she would be worried about being sent to prison, but the officer responds, you don't go to prison for beating your child. And you're thinking, does it get worse? It does. Montgomery County Police Department said in a statement that the 2 officers have been subject to a thorough internal investigation, the findings of which had not been released. They remained employed as sworn officers. The statement said such investigations were considered confidential under Maryland law, and it would not comment on the findings. The child's mother is suing Montgomery County, the 2 officers, and the county's Board of Education. To tell you the truth, I'd sue everyone. I guess that's what that's what the mother's doing. So there's as the Simpsons, in one of the Simpsons episodes states, oh, it's a blue ribbon commission. Horrible thing happens. There's a blue ribbon commission, which means nothing gets done. There's an internal investigation, which means nothing really gets done. These 2 officers, one of which actually handcuffs the child. They actually handcuff the child for a few minutes. If you look at the full story, yelling at the kid, telling the mother that she should beat the child, and then telling the mother, don't worry about it. People don't go to prison for beating their kids. And they're still working, of course, because that's how police unions work. That's how police unions work. And this is policing in the United States of America. Yes, it varies from county to county, from municipality to municipality, but by and large, this is what you get. Check out chat. Well, it is gross. You're right about that, Jess M. It's just gross. Talk to Mordecai. That made me laugh. It's wrong. It's wrong, but it did strike me as funny. Yeah, abuse is not discipline. And it seems like a radical comment. It seems like a radical thought here in the States, at least, that there should be civilian oversight of the police. And we're not talking about police looking at the police or politicians looking at the police. We're talking about citizens doing audits, looking at records, making sure the police aren't screaming at 5-year-old kids. And yeah. Well, that imaginary God, it's good to see you too. It's good to see you too. I would say that at the very least they should be fired. I don't know how that should not be a radical idea. It should not be a radical idea that everyone gets fired. The commanding officers, because this is tip of the iceberg stuff, right? If you get caught doing something, if anyone's ever worked in, in management or in HR, a lot of the times when you see bad employees or people doing things badly, you only catch them at the 5% of the time that they're doing something badly. So these officers, I'm sure they have a history. They have a history. Will we ever know about it? No, because all the findings are confidential because of Maryland law. Well, here it is. The problem with police abuse is the blue wall. If a cop looks the other way, they're just being responsible. And they're just as responsible and bad as offending officers. You're right about that, Glenn. They're just as guilty. Well, I saw that episode too, Theo. And if anyone has a chance of seeing the John Oliver This Week Tonight episode about police brutality that John Oliver does, it's worth your time. Yeah, it's all right. Halfway through the show? We're about halfway through the show. We covered Rasputin, this Rasputin owner. He looks like Rasputin, at least, in New Jersey, giving free gym memberships to people who don't get the vaccine. The second story we covered, of course, cops acting horribly, screaming at a 5-year-old and telling his mother to beat him. It's a good chance to maybe see something funny, right? Maybe this is the time. I think this is a good time.
Morning.
No,
Huh?
not today.
What do you mean?
Oh, you were just going to stay here today.
We've got work.
We're staying here.
It's not really your decision to make. We have to get
Why
up.
though? We get up early every day.
Yeah, because we have stuff to do.
But do we?
Yes, we do.
I feel like you just keep making stuff up for us to do every day.
Just get up.
No.
All right, well, we'll have more of a chill day
So we
then.
can stay in bed?
Well, no.
I've decided I don't think I like you.
Well, I don't like you either.
Well, you're the one making us sad and tired all the time.
No, that's you.
No, it's you.
Okay, fine. We'll stay in bed. You're so lazy.
What the
That sums up a lot of my mental life. It's my internal life. It's like, well, I'm just going to take it easy and relax. And then the Puritan, right? You can take the boy out of the Baptist church, but it's difficult to take the Baptist church out of the boy. There's that background noise going, you should do something, Andy. Maybe something productive, even on a slow day. We'll check out the chat before we get to the next. Oh, this is a positive story. This is a positive story that we're going to be doing next. It's about legalization of marijuana in New York State. That's a positive story. All right. I checked out the chat. Everything's. Well, you're right, Dr. Mordecai. You see the old, Rasputin was a funny guy. And for those of you who don't know who Rasputin is, there might be a few of you. He was involved in the Russian court just before the Russian Revolution. Supposedly, he was the only person. He had a dark power over the royal family, and his craziness, his faith-based craziness, helped end the Russian state and helped, it just explode into the Russian Revolution and the Bolsheviks taking over and the USSR. That's a very quick review of who Rasputin is, or was. All right. Oh yeah, you have Catholic. I still have leftover nagging Catholic guilt. Yeah. Most of my Baptist stuff comes out angry. That's how my residual Baptist. Not Southern Baptist. We weren't part of the treacherous Baptists, but we're just plain garden variety Baptists up here. Still crazy. Well, I'd say I do a smarter show, Lee Spanner. I mean, Howard Stern. I mean, you have to pay for Howard Stern too, right? I remember when he went from regular everyday radio to satellite radio. Maybe not as good an interviewer as Howard Stern, but still. I mean, I think the show, for considering I have no budget, I have very limited budget. Thank you, patrons. For my limited budget, I think I do a good show, but that's just me. All right, so what do we got next? Marijuana legal now. We covered this story, I think, on Friday, maybe Thursday last week. New York State was getting close to legalizing marijuana. Guess what? They agreed on the bill. Legalization of marijuana. It's going to happen really soon in New York State. Good job, New York State. And you know what? And if we just skip to the last paragraph of this, the development of adult use cannabis industry in New York has a potential to create 30 to 60,000 jobs and the ability to earn $300 $350 million annually in tax collections. And that's Governor Cuomo's office is saying that. And that, considering that Colorado is a smaller state, and Colorado is, in terms of population, and Colorado is getting $20 million every month from marijuana sales, this number of 350 million might be low. I mean, only time will tell. Hey, Scott Duke, a bit towards the budget. Thank you, sir. Every penny counts. Much appreciated. I'm going to go back to the story. Back to the story of the legalization of marijuana. I'm going to have to I'm sorry, I'm just like doing all kinds of stuff here. So the marijuana money would go to the New York State Cannabis Revenue Fund, with the remainder after costs being split between education, community grants, reinvestment fund, and the drug treatment and public education. So it looks like it's at least maybe education might be getting more money. So that's good. We also, let me just read this last bit here. A social and economic equity program would facilitate individuals disproportionately impacted by cannabis enforcement, including creating a goal of 50% of licenses to go to minority or women-owned business enterprise or distressed farmers or service-disabled veterans to encourage participation in the industry. So there's a bit of social justice in there too, trying to make a more equitable society. We looked at last week, Evanston, Illinois. They're using their marijuana money in part for reparations, which is brilliant. With all this new money coming into the system, there's a real potential to do good with it. Better living through marijuana. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Glenn Chesterton, come to Canada. It's legal from sea to shining sea. Let's see. Here we go. Selling the idea of legal weed to capitalists is all good and well, but how about commuting some of the sentences to entrepreneurs who are ahead of the curve? Well, you're singing my song, Brain Bug, because basically it's like prohibition, right? You had all these people's lives ruined, people thrown in jail for running gin, running alcohol from Canada down here to the U.S. And, for those of you who don't know it, the Kennedys, yes, those Kennedys, they made their money from running alcohol. They made a lot of their cash that way. So those people, and thank you for Jess to say the links are in the description. Always links in the description. Always links in the description. I try to say medicated, a wise choice. My medication of choice, of course, is caffeine because I need my brain to function. My problem is that I'm too sleepy. Here's Theo saying, John Oliver also has a show on how they don't give small growers a chance in the weed business and large investors controlling it. Yep. Well, you can see it, right? You can see how in Maine, for an example, as well as in the bill in New York City, I believe that a person can only grow like maybe 6 plants, and only 3 of those are for really harvesting marijuana. So, yeah, there's much more of an incentive for quote unquote legitimate, not really yeoman farmers in marijuana, so to speak, to engage in the market right now. Wow, this is on fire. Glenn, Simply Secular Dave tells Glenn Chesterton, don't tell them that being jailed in Canada is better standard of living than minimum wage in most southern states. Oh, cut to the quick, Simply Secular Dave. Cut to the quick. All right, so what's the next? Oh, Crusaders. Next story? We're going to the next story. We're going to talk about Crusaders. Those faith-based terrorists from what, the 1100s? First Crusade was what, 1070 maybe? Maybe around there. Here we go. From the Friendly Atheist, Christian school drops Crusader mascot after finally realizing what it means. I think the Christian school, I'd have to disagree with Evan, is that the Christian school realizes that other people realize what it means, like the population. The Christian school probably already knew what the word Crusader means and the history of the Crusades in the Levant, in the Middle East. They probably already knew, but all of a sudden, the rest of the population is catching on that Crusader means basically Christian jihadist, and that's why this school is getting rid of that name, that for its mascot. Here's the story. Let's see. When Campus Crusade. That's what I want to see. Krampus Crusade. That sounds like a lot more fun. When Campus Crusade for Christ is ahead of anything, it's really dropped the ball. That's the wrong one. Here it is. Here's the first one. So Evangel University in Missouri is taking the plunge. There's been a lot of other Christian schools that are getting rid of the Crusader mascot, getting rid of Crusader in their language. We recognize the times have changed. Spokesperson Aaron Headland said the Crusader mascot really no longer represents what our university stands for. As well, we have a lot of alumni who are involved in work both in the U.S. and globally, and knowing that we are global community members, it is not a mascot that our alumni can advocate for or support in their work around the world. Times have changed, said school teacher that has a Title IX exemption so it can receive federal funding while still promoting anti-LGBTQ bigotry and rejecting abortion rights. Yep. So they're saying that they're getting rid of the Crusader name, the Crusader mascots, because it no longer represents what the university stands for. So does that mean at some time, at some point in the past, that the Crusaders represented what this university stands for? Evangel University. And if you don't know, here's a little bit of trivia here. Let God sort him out. God will know his own. God will know his own. In other words, you can kill them all and let God sort them out. That's from the First Crusades, my friends. That's from the First Crusades. And that is just a tip of the iceberg of the insanity that was the First Crusades. Well, agree with the first statement. All nonviolent drug offenses should be released. Yeah, that's true. It's more of a public health issue, if anything else. Why is addiction criminalized is beyond me. Well, I would say it might have something to do with Christianity. It might have something to do with our inability to wrap our minds around the fact that we are, as Richard Dawkins said, we are wet robots. We are wet robots, carbon-based robots, and some of us have a predilection towards addiction. Maybe 5% of the population has a proclivity for using drugs, and Christianity doesn't really give you a mindset to grasp the reality of the situation, and of course, money too. Yeah. Oh, you're right about that, Theo. If Crusaders are negative, Canada and America needs to get rid of plenty of Colombian names as well. The good thing about how things are moving, at least, a lot of Columbus days are being rebranded as Indigenous People Days here in the States, at least where I am. All right, so there was an interesting episode on Explains Everything, and I forget the name of the show. There's a comedian with the big hair. Someone Explains Everything. It's an incredibly good show. See, now I want to find it, but I'm not going to look for it right now since I'm in the middle of the show. But yeah, the drug war has been used, especially by Richard Nixon, the war on marijuana, because he wanted to get votes. He wanted to get votes. All right, so what have we covered so far? I'm glad you asked. Rasputin, New Jersey gym owner, giving free memberships away for people who don't get the COVID vaccine. Cops screaming at a 5-year-old and telling his mom to beat him. Marijuana being legalized. Woohoo! A Christian school finally realizing that maybe the Crusader name, having a Crusader mascot, isn't a good idea. And witches in Michigan? What kind of insanity is that? There goes my set list. Let me grab it for a second. So yes, witches in Michigan. Let's take a look. This is from Mother Jones. Michigan Republican Party chair calls state leaders witches. Ron Weiser. Should I use the German pronunciation? Weiser? No, I'll just go with Ron Weiser. Suggested the state's top 3 elected officials be softened up so they can be burned at the stake. Now, you may think that this is just silly, right? It's just crazy talk. But in a world of QAnon, where there are many Christians, many evangelicals who think that Trump got the election stolen from him, the idea that there are rape tunnels under the Capitol building, then, accusing women of being witches is a lot more sinister. The chairman of the Michigan Republican Party is on the defensive after calling Michigan's top 3 elected officials witches who need to be softened up so they can be burned at the stake, and quipping that assassination is a remedy for Michigan Republicans who had supported the impeachment of former President Donald Trump. Ron Weiser, who was elected co-chair of the party in February, is also a member of the University of Michigan Board of Regents. After his comments were reported Friday by the Detroit News, a day after he made them to a local Republican meeting, his fellow regents called on him to resign from the university's board. Late Friday, Weiser tweeted that his comments about murdering fellow Republicans who had supported impeachment were taken out of context. I don't know how that happens. I don't think you can take that out of context, and that he would never advocate for violence besides the words that he speaks. But he didn't address his misogynist attacks on Governor Gretchen Whitmer, Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson, and Attorney General Dana Nessel. So yeah, he didn't really mean it with the Republicans when he said they should all be dead. But about the women, maybe they really are. I mean, he's not rescinding his statement on that. A spokesperson for Whitmer said Friday that the comments are destructive and downright dangerous. Yes, pointing to the foiled kidnapping plot and the fact that state party leaders had helped to organize travel to the January 6th protest and storming of the U.S. Capitol. Later in the day, Whitmer jokingly tweeted a picture of herself holding a copy of The Witchers Are Coming, a 2019 book by the writer Lindy West. Beattie issued a statement calling Weissmer's statements horribly reckless and unconscionable, and noted this kind of rhetoric can later be used as justification for very real threats against government officials, election administrators, and democracy itself. She also tweeted a picture of the Good Witch from The Wizard of Oz. Yes, witches. Maybe 20 years ago, 10 years ago, it would be comical to think that calling someone a witch is actually dangerous, that there might be a real danger of the person being labeled a witch getting into trouble. But thanks, QAnon. Thank you, evangelical Christianity. Thank you, late stage capitalism. There's real danger now. You start throwing the word witch around in some quarters here in the States. All right. Hey, Blazing. Glad to see you. Glad to see Blazing. Let's see what else. Adam Ruins Everything. It was Adam Ruins Everything. Thank you, Scott Duke. It was Adam's Ruins Everything, which is a great show. Brought my kids up watching that show, watching a couple of seasons with them. Adam Explains Everything. Thank you, girlfriend. Yeah, it's a great show. Great show. Definitely worth your time. Quick half-hour shows. Debunks a lot of corporate propaganda. All right. I think I'm up to date with the chat. So, oh, you can be late, Blazing. I didn't have any internet due to the guy digging up a cable. I hope they, yeah. All right. I think that's it for the news. I think that's it. We covered New Jersey gym, free memberships for vaccine deniers, cops, New York pot being legalized or just about to be legalized, Christian school deciding naming their mascot of Crusader is not a good idea, and witches in Michigan, the co-chair of the Michigan Republican Party, just throwing that word, calling the top 3 lawmakers in Michigan happen to be women, Democrats, witches. It seems fixed. Good for you. I'm glad to hear. All right. Post show is at 10. We're ahead of schedule. Hard to believe that, right? We are ahead of schedule. I'm going to play the last video. I'm going to play the last funny video. That sounds very dramatic. And then we'll come back and put a bow on everything.
Hey, can I borrow her? Can I just borrow her for... I just want to borrow her for just a moment. Ow! Come on, let me... Ow! You snapping turtle.
That cat likes that cat. That cat does not want to be disturbed. If I was that cat, I wouldn't want to be disturbed either. All right, so that's it, everyone. We did the show in like 46 minutes today. If you want to come back at 10 o'clock, I'm going to be doing an open room pretty much. Though, what is the link to the open room? I'll put it down here. It's in the description. But yeah, so if you click on that link in Chrome, basically you can pop into the backstage. And then when 10 o'clock comes on, we'll just start talking about anything you want. Anything you want, basically. A lot of cats are disturbed. Well, they are only partially, domesticated, aren't they? They're only partially domesticated. So, yeah, that's what makes them pretty cool. They're not like dogs. They're not like dogs. All right, everyone. So, I think that's it. I'm going to stretch my legs for a few minutes, and then I'm going to come back and do the after show. When is 10 o'clock? In 13 minutes. Yes, it is, Theo. 13 minutes for the after show open room. Anyone who wants to pop in, you can pop in. If I'm just talking to the void, I'll talk to the void for a few minutes and then sign off. But yeah, otherwise, we've been doing shows, after party shows from about 10 to 11. So if you want to pop in, then feel free to pop in. And that's what we're going to be doing. All right. On that note, I will see if you come back at 10. That would be great. I want to let you know what I got going on. Actually, I got a lot of stuff going on. This is my thinking move here. I have a couple of books that I'm reading. Well, I have one book I have to read, and then I have another book I have to read. Jonathan M.S. Pierce, who's been on the channel a number of times, really smart guy. He is coming on the channel on the 12th of April. He has a new book out about the resurrection, or debunking the resurrection. He's going to be coming on. Michael Weissman, who does the podcast, The Bible Says What. I'm reading through his book right now. I'm trying to get him on for Thursday in the evening, but we haven't, put a dot on that. So I'm not sure. But Michael Weissman has a new book out, The Bible Says What. It's about his podcast with the same name. And so I'm reading through that book, and then I'm reading through Jonathan M.S. Pierce's book about debunking about the resurrection. So that's what I've got going on. I've got a lot of stuff with my brain to think about. And so, yeah, cats have staff. They do, Theo. Cats. And thank you. I'm always bad about asking people to do things like give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, all that other stuff. Yep, I'm not good at that at all. All right, so I'm going to do my video. I'm going to show my video about thanking patrons, because there are people who do support the channel, through Patreon, of course, and through the chat too. I appreciate everyone who donates. It means a lot to me too. It's nice to feel appreciated. I'm not going to lie to you. So I'm going to head off. I'm going to play the video, and then I'll see you all, whoever's here, at 10 o'clock. And if not, hopefully I'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Take care.